All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on something pretty fascinating, the actual blueprint for explaining genius. We've got our hands on a master prompt, one designed to create a professional product video for Anthropic's Claude, and we are going to break it down piece by piece. So think about the core problem for a second. When you have a technology that can read, say, the entire Lord of the Rings series in one gulp, and then write a brand new chapter that sounds just like Tolkien, how do you even begin to explain that? How do you market something so powerful without it just sounding like complete science fiction? Well, the secret, it turns out, is all about how you ask the AI to explain itself. And we've got a professional master prompt right here. This is the exact kind of detailed brief a company would give to a high-end creative agency. You could call it the instruction manual for explaining genius. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing you'll notice is that the prompt doesn't just jump right into the features. No, it starts by setting the stage. It creates a very specific persona and a very specific tone for the AI to use. See, it doesn't just say make a video. It gives the AI a job title, a world-class creative director. This immediately sets an incredibly high bar for quality, and it references companies like Apple and Stripe, basically telling the AI, I need that level of polish, that level of cool. And then you get the tone, which is this really careful balancing act. You want it to be authoritative, so it sounds like it knows what it's talking about. But you also need it to be approachable and human-centric, so it doesn't scare people off. This one sentence is going to shape the entire feel of the video. All right, now that the stage is set, let's get to the main event, the technology itself. We're going to walk through each scene the prompt lays out and translate that cool, cinematic language into the actual, groundbreaking features Claude is working with. First up, we've got the models. The prompt imagines them as these three glowing spheres. You've got Haiku, which is all about speed for those quick jobs. Then there's Sonnet, your reliable, everyday workhorse. And then you have Opus. Opus is the powerhouse, the one designed for reasoning so complex it's like having a PhD on call. So the big takeaway here is that this is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's about trade-offs. You get to pick the right tool for the job, whether you need a lightning-fast answer from Haiku, a steady partner in Sonnet, or the deep analytical power of Opus. Now, remember that visual from the prompt, the thousands of documents flying into a central funnel? This is what that's all about. A 1 million token context window. To put that in perspective, it means Claude can absorb an entire company's financial history or a massive software project's codebase in a single go. The old limits are basically gone. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not just about speed, it's about how Claude thinks. The prompt visualizes this as microscopic gears and neural pathways. It's a feature called adaptive thinking. It means Claude actually knows when a problem is tough, and it will pause and reason it out instead of just spitting out a fast and maybe wrong answer. It's the difference between a guess and real problem solving. And this is where everything starts to come together. The prompt shows Claude working outside of a chat window, moving a cursor, clicking on things, building a presentation. These features, they turn Claude from a passive chatbot into an active agent on your computer. It's not just a tool you talk to anymore. It's a teammate working right alongside you. But to really get a handle on this tech and why that human-centric tone is so important, you really have to understand the company that built it. Anthropic isn't just another startup. Their entire corporate DNA shapes the product. And frankly, this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. So Anthropic was founded by researchers who actually left OpenAI because they had different ideas about safety. They structured the company as a public benefit corporation, which means their number one goal isn't just profit, it's developing AI responsibly. That safety-first mission is baked into their DNA. And here is where that mission gets put to the ultimate test. You can see their explosive growth, but then a major conflict. In 2026, the Department of Defense asks them to remove some safety guards, and Anthropic says no, flat out. This isn't some academic debate. This is their core principles slamming up against real-world government pressure. And to understand just how big of a deal that no was, just look at this number. With a valuation of $380 billion, the stakes could not have been higher. This wasn't just a PR move. This was a massive company, risking a whole lot to stick to its principles. So let's circle all the way back to that master prompt. Why is it so good? What's the secret sauce? Well, it's not just that it's well written. It follows a clear, repeatable pattern that's basically a masterclass in prompt engineering. It turns out the best prompts follow a simple pattern. First, you give instructions, the big picture goal. Then you give context, the background info it needs to know. Third, you define the specific task. And finally, you tell it the exact output format you want. This structure just gets rid of any confusion and helps the AI give you exactly what you're looking for. This is why so many people get frustrated with AI. You make a vague request, you get a vague result. Instead of just saying be creative, give it an example of what you think is creative. Instead of asking for a summary, be specific, like summarize this in 3 short sentences. These tiny little fixes are the key to getting great results every single time. Okay, let's tie this all together. We've taken apart the technology, we've looked at the company, we've analyzed the communication strategy, and it all seems to be pointing to something much bigger. Something that might just be humanity's next great skill. So what's the real lesson here? The power that we saw in that master prompt, it's not some kind of magic trick. It's just extreme clarity, a deliberate structure, and a really precise intent. The truth is, communicating effectively with AI is a human skill. It's built on the exact same principles of good communication we've been using forever. Which kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. As these AI systems get better and better at answering pretty much anything we can throw at them, maybe our most valuable skill is shifting. Maybe it's not about knowing all the answers anymore, but about mastering the art of asking the perfect question.